You have to use your gifts. Faith without works is nothing.
I'm looking at him.
You need to utilize your gifts. Confidence without works. There's nothing I'm viewing at him as a holy person hitting up a party that ain't only sin drinking, perhaps sex. It's simply genuinely bizarre that he would be found at any sort of Diddy party, man. He making the Christians look genuine. Terrible at this moment, following Minister Jake's new fallout of favor after he was uncovered of purportedly going to Diddy's gay gatherings, Denzel Washington seems to have in a roundabout way tended to this entire adventure. So what precisely did he say in a genuine meeting with CBN about his movie Roman J. Israel-esque? The Double Cross Institute Grant Victor shared significant bits of knowledge into his otherworldly convictions and the ways of thinking that directed his life both on and off the cinema. Denzel, whose groundbreaking execution in his 2017 movie Roman J. Israel-esque earned basic praise, talked energetically about the crossing point of his Christian confidence and his job as an entertainer. For him, confidence wasn't simply a detached conviction, it requested activity and activism. In his view, everybody had exceptional gifts, and it was the obligation of people to use these gifts to have a constructive outcome on the planet. Well, you need to utilize your gifts. Confidence without works isn't anything, Denzel underscored during the meeting, featuring the meaning of matching conviction with activity. Anyway, he likewise recognized that not every person should have been a dissident in the conventional sense. Denzel reviewed a prophetic message from his worldwide Lady Impact, not as an evangelist in the lectern, but rather as a speaker through his work. This disclosure enlivened him to involve his foundation in media outlets to spread messages of trust, love, and confidence. When Denzel examined his minister regarding his motivation, contemplating whether he was intended to turn into an animal, the reaction was significant. You, as of now, have a podium. These words filled in as a strong update that Denzel's impact and arrive at reached out a long ways past the bounds of a congregation, pervading the hearts and brains of crowds overall. With lowliness and assurance, he embraced his job as a specialist for good, perceiving the significant effect narrating could have on molding points of view and rousing change. In his 2017 movie Roman J. Israel-esque, Denzel unpretentiously gestured to sacred text through the person's name, underlining the profundity of how he might interpret confidence and its pertinence in the contemporary world. This is entertaining. Just to figure 3 Mondays prior, I didn't know both of you. One of the focal topics of the movie was equity. All through the whole course of the story, Roman inquiries his very own perspective on equity. The movie digs into the significant difference between man's perspective on equity and God's perspective on equity, featuring that the two aren't generally in arrangement. God's equity, as portrayed in the good book, is in every case right and great, considering all that, and can't be influenced or modified by human predispositions or biases. This strong investigation of equity added layers of intricacy to the personality of Roman J. Israel, provoking watchers to ponder the significant inquiry of what is valid equity and honesty in a defective world. Roman J. Israel-esque was not only a true-to-life magnum opus, it was a demonstration of Denzel Washington's devotion to involving his art as a power for good change. Anger as crowds drenched themselves in the movie's account, they were defied with significant inquiries regarding confidence, ethical quality, and the quest for equity. Denzel Washington's vision of God and the ways of thinking he kept were unpredictably woven into the texture of the film, making a permanent imprint on the hearts of watchers and reaffirming the persevering through force of confidence despite life's intricacies. Regardless, Washington has likewise focused on his significant association with otherworldliness and how it directed him away from the fabulousness and excitement of Hollywood gatherings. Denzel's story fills in as a demonstration of the extraordinary force of confidence and the relentless impact of a profound experience. Denzel thought back about his childhood, where his dad, a passionate, righteous man, imparted in him the upsides of confidence and honorableness. This establishment would later assume a urgent part in molding Denzel's personality, particularly during his initial act. Very long time in media outlets. His otherworldly arousing came in the mid-1980s, when he wound up at a junction torn between the charm of Hollywood rye and the call of his confidence. It was a battle recognizable to numerous, a fight between the material world and the beat Otherworldly domain. Denzel openly imparted that he had a few experiences to confidence each time attracting him nearer to the heavenly one. Huge defining moment happened when he went to a community gathering with prestigious Chief Rogue Art Townend. Denzel chose to give himself over, totally venturing forward to the special stepped area. In a snapshot of significant weakness in the request room, he encountered something puzzling, a vibe of rising out of sight, his cheek loaded up with a mind-boggling presence. It was a powerful encounter, making a permanent imprint on his spirit. Notwithstanding this strong experience, Denzel admitted that he wasn't promptly ready to completely embrace this newly discovered otherworldliness he recognized. The battle inside himself, endeavoring to accommodate his profound arousing with the enticements of media outlets, yet the memory of that groundbreaking second remained with him, filling in as an establishing power, even despite gigantic popularity and common interruptions. His profound excursion was not without its difficulties. He authentically conceded to capitulating to the appeal of realism and enjoying what he alludes to as otherworldly muggings anyway. Through it all, his confidence stays unflinch. And his confidence has been felt by those encompassing him. For example, in 2022, after the notorious Oscar slap, Denzel evidently went behind the scene to attempt to determine the issue. Denzel told me a couple of moments back, he said, "At your most elevated second, be cautious, that is the point at which Satan approaches for you," Smith said during the Oscars while tolerating his honor a couple of days after the fact. Washington went to diocesan T.D. Jake's administration culmination on for a conversation on about his vocation and confidence when Jake got some information about what occurred among Smith and Rock at the Oscars. Well, there's a maxim: when Satan disregards you, then you realize you're accomplishing something wrong. Satan goes, "Good gracious, let him be, he's my most loved." Alternately, when Satan comes at you, perhaps this is on the grounds that he's attempting to ever figure things out, and for reasons unknown, Satan snagged that circumstance that evening, Washington told Jake in front of an audit. Once he then, at that point, added, "Luckily, there were individuals there, me as well as others. Tyler Perry came quickly thereabouts with me, said a few petitions I would rather not get out, whatever we discussed yet. For the finesse of God, go any of us, who are we to denounce? I don't have the foggiest idea about every one of the intricate details of the circumstance yet. I realize the main arrangement was petition, as far as I can tell, with everything taken into account." Denzel Washington remains as a Reagan of lowliness and gentleman's sharp unobtrusiveness regardless of his various honors, including 2 institute grants. He remains grounded and frequently offers thanks for the open doors he has been given. At this point, Denzel's modesty stretches out a long ways past the stage. In red rugs underneath the facade of distinction, he participates in calm, thoughtful gestures that frequently get away from the public eye. His magnanimous undertakings, including a critical commitment to Y School to lay out a discussion group, represent a liberality that looks for no spotlight. His visits to medical clinics offering carry comfort to patients underline a modesty that rises above the limits of Hollywood. Yet Denzel Washington's story isn't just about getting honors, it's tied in with offering back as a tutor. He puts time and insight in sustaining a rising abilities, a story flawlessly exemplified in his coordinated effort with John David Washington. His child past familial ties, Washington effectively takes an interest in mentorship programs supporting open doors for underrepresented voices in the true-to-life domain, as opposed to Denzel's commitment to his religion and confidence. T.D. Jake has as of late been seen as fairly faltering in the standards of his religion. You see T.D. Jake the pioneer behind the Potter House, a non-traditional multicultural church and philanthropic association in Dallas, is ostensibly the most unmistakable Christian evangelist in the U.S., yet notwithstanding his noticeable quality, Jake was up to speed in the cases of a YouTube station, Extreme News Television, that was subsequently gotten on different virtual entertainment stages, bringing about his name moving on the web. Last week in the video, have Jermaine McKinley claimed that he was sent an unknown email guaranteeing Cassie Ventura was helping the FBI in an examination against Diddy after the previous documented and settled a common claim against the hip bounce tycoon, blaming him for grievous demonstrations of brutality during their decade-involved acquaintance. The email read, "So I need to set you up on game on the genuine idea of Diddy and Minister Jake's relationship. Yet first, we should comprehend that Minister Jake isn't of God. he is without a doubt a Freemason, as was Diddy, and I say he was on the grounds that it appears like he has been deprived of his assurance, honors, and power, yet commit no error about it. His spirit is as yet represented by Satan. He will always be